Oh, well, I just got back from Heroes Con. There's my bracelet. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. It runs today, which is Friday, and it runs Saturday and Sunday. And this is the first year I went on a Friday. And I got to tell you, man, it's about 20 minutes till midnight. I am exhausted, yet I'm still high from it. It has got to be, today was probably the best convention experience that I've ever had. Just positive energy, good people, good friends, and all the curators and stuff that I got to sign books and everything like that were fresh. Just an all-around great conversation, everything, good energy. Got down there, rode down there with 3 or 4 friends. And then when I got down there, Howard, How Deep O2, his channel and stuff, he and his wife were there. Met up with them for a little bit, went to lunch with them, hung out with Howard for a while. Plus, did my thing around the con and stuff. Kind of had the ADHD going because of all the stuff that was going around and all the comics and stuff. I couldn't really focus to talk and stuff, and that passed and everything like that. And got a lot of good stuff signed, and ended up buying some stuff. I ended up probably spending $15 on books, if that much. $14, $15. I think it was more around 14. But I made all my money back because I sold 3 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle books, and actually ended up having a profit of $1. so I'm gonna go through those, and I want to have some stories here. So let's just get going while this stuff is fresh in my memory, and maybe once I process it, I can calm down and go to sleep. And if you've never been to the Heroes Con in Charlotte, I think this year is its 32nd or 33rd year, and it's just a great little convention, man. It gets a little bit bigger every year. Today the crowds were not bad. What's good about going on a Friday apparently is everybody is fresh. You may not get the best deals that that you could get, but the books are there. They haven't been picked through and stuff, so you can still get the cream of the crop. And so many people already had quarter boxes, 2 for $1 sales right off the bat going on. I mean, so it was still a really good deal. And this is the one that focuses still more on comics, and everybody's kind of friendly, and it's a good little atmosphere that's there and everything. Alright, so right off the bat, what we have here is Eric Powell was there. If you saw my video last year, I had a ton of stuff from Eric Powell and stuff. And for $3, I ended up picking up Big Trouble in Little China, and he signed it for me, #1 from Boom Studios. And it was so cool because when I walked up, and I told him I was so glad he brought these with him to buy from him and stuff. And we ended up talking about Big Trouble in Little China. We ended up quoting the movie, going back and forth. And that's what I mean. It was just good energy, man. It's like all of a sudden, it's like a lot of these, you're just one of the guys there that day. Okay, so that was cool. That was a brief little introduction there. One of the first people that I saw there was Kevin McGuire, and he is not what I expected, man. He, his books and his work is so jovial and has a sense of humor in it and stuff like that, that he still had a good attitude, but I kind of got the idea that this guy might sit around with a smoking jacket. And what was so cool is that when I whipped out these books, Justice League #1, I would have took more, and I may still take more if I go back. He signed these for me. These go back to where I bought some of these off the stands, and that was his last issue with Kid Giffen and the Manties back in the day. He signed those. But what was so cool is that he ended up showing me the Justice League 3000 pages, which I'm sure he showed other people that were interested. I started talking to him, asked him, what was your favorite character to draw out of the book, and I was like, was it Guy Gardner? He's like, yeah, does it kind of show? And then he showed me the Justice League 3000 pages that he had already started and completed before he was more or less fired from DC, and they got somebody else to do the book. And I asked him what he was working on. He said he was just on a hiatus. Real upbeat guy, kind of jovial. And just had a really good conversation with him. Really surprised me. Kind of made me relax. He was the first creator I saw there. And I want to skip ahead to the last one I saw. It was really, if you want to go see him, you better check his schedule, because he only does it like maybe 2 hours at a time, twice a day. I don't know what else he's doing at the convention. I'm sure he's doing other things and stuff. But met Jeff Smith of Bone. The last guy, took me 2 or 3 tries to get to see him. And I had a funny little story here. He signed the book, puts Bone on everything. you know, he signed quite a few things that I had. I kind of wanted the more, you know, rare bone stuff. Wizard Ace edition. He signed it. But what happened was is that, you know, he was he was tired, and he had a brace on his hand, you know, where he was writing and drawing so much stuff. You know, the guy apparently takes care of himself. But I put Bone number 16 as this particular issue to me is one of the top 10 books ever written because of what he did in it. He did the storytelling where Rose and Bone and Grandma are all in the woods at night, and it's raining and it's storming, and this thing passes like you're going through it with them. And his black and white work is so good. And then he had this page where, as you can see, they're all on that first panel, they're all under a tree, and it's dark. The lightning flashes, you see all the rat creatures after him, and then it goes back to being black. Just great storytelling in this. And man, all of a sudden, man, we were talking. You know, he was like explaining what he was trying to do. Said Paul Pope kind of pulled out, you know, was real complimentary of this issue and stuff like that. Then he asked me what my name was. And this is one of the things I've never noticed at a convention. You know, I'm from the mountains of Virginia and stuff. I know I have an accent. But, you know, when these guys are from up north or whatever, I never thought they had problems understanding me, which actually makes a few conversations I've had during the conventions with curators and stuff make a little bit more sense. Because he asked what my name was, and I told him Tim, and he just kind of looked at me, how do you spell that? And I said T-I-M. And then it was so funny, he kind of busted me. He was like, I was like, yeah, I'm from the mountains, I have the accent and all this stuff. He's like, yeah, Tim. You know, so, you know, it was funny, man. Everybody kind of cracked up. But what was so funny is then Howard was with me, and he said, you've got to go down here to 12 Gauge Comics and get this book. He talked about it, too, you know, a couple times during the day, and went down there and got the free comic book day. You know, left over from the free comic book day, and met the guy from Tennessee that does this book, Sherwood, Texas. What is the guy's name? Shane Berryhill, who I think I met, and he asked me how to spell my name also before he signed it. And Howard really praises this book. So it was kind of funny there towards the end of the day. It was like, how do you spell Tim? You know, in Tim. It was so funny. We got a big, on the way back, you know, I told the story. We got a big, you know, laugh out of that one. Okay. One of the other guys that I met there was Tim Truman. I'm trying to move on here. Okay. And I ended up completing the Hawk World for $1. You know, the Hawk World 3-issue miniseries that he did back in '89. And he signed all of these for me. And it was really hard to actually get him to sign books because I was just having the worst luck. He signed all these. And this one in particular is kind of funny. Because every time I went to him, there were people who, like, you know, the first one was an older guy with some, I don't know if it was his son or grandson or a friend or whatever. And it's like he had a stack of 100 books and he threw, you know, $20 at Tim Truman twice. And he was signing every one of those books, Tim Truman books. It looked like it was Conan and Grimjack and everything. Went back a little bit later. Before that, he was on break for a long time. Then come back and he's signing all these books for this guy. Then I come back, he's sketching. I come back, another guy's brought a ton of books. And finally, he got to, you know, sign my stuff. And I showed him the Hawk World and got him to sign all the Scouts. You know, first 5 or 6 issues of Scout. His post-apocalyptic sort of series from the 80s from who did this? Eclipse. I think it's the Eclipse Comics. You know, about an Apache Indian. Just really good stuff. He signed all those. We didn't really talk about this too much, but he's working on bringing Scout back. He showed me some sketches of him. You know, to put a proposition out there to do more Scout or something with somebody. Of course, there's number 1 and stuff. And talked about the Prowler. You know, for you guys who were way back when I started these videos and stuff, this issue of the Prowler from Eclipse from the 80s is really special because he put in a floppy record, 2-sided record of music he wrote and performed and stuff like that. Hunt by Night, the Prowler TV theme show, if it was a TV show from the 60s. And Hey Mr. Prowler, kind of a swing version, you know, of the song. It sounds like it's from the 1940s and stuff. Right there's the, you know, Bugle Boys of Company B and all that stuff, you know. And I told him I had a YouTube channel and I made 2 separate videos where it's just a record player. It's black and white and it's a record player, me playing each side of this, and he wanted the link. So he sat there and he took one of my Hawk World books over here, and he put his contact information inside of it, which I was like, okay, that's cool, I guess. So now I have a book not only signed by Tim Truman, but it's got his email address and all this other stuff on it. And I was like, wow, that was funny. Okay. Met Joe Staten, a guy who has done over 1,200 comic books, over, I don't know, 40 years or something. And I just flat out asked him, I was like, you have done so much stuff, and I went through my books, and I couldn't really find the quintessential Joe Staten. And he said that, I think it was in Adventure Comics. And I remember reading it back in the day. I'm not sure it is in Adventure Comics. That's the only place I can think the Earth 2 stuff is. He was big on the Earth 2 stuff with Paul Levitz and All-Star Comics and stuff like that. But he said that the autobiography of Batman is probably, the work to get him to sign. He's going to be at another convention in Bristol called RobCon in about a month or so, so I'm going to try to look that up. So I just got him to do some All-Star Comics that I found in a box. Got him to sign those. Really good to see one of those older guys, and kids know him because he does Scooby-Doo, and just for shits and giggles, I got him to do all 3 issues of Guy Gardner, which I flat out told him. I was like, I got these because you were doing the art and stuff, He did Millennium and some Silver Surfer and, did some stuff with Sting Englehart back in the 80s and stuff. In the 70s, he did, E-Man with Charlton and all that stuff. All right. Bet Bob McLeod, didn't really have a big, huge conversation with him. He he co-created the New Mutants, did the first couple issues of the series. It's kind of cool to get him to sign that. Met Art Adams, and I tell you what, I thought that was going to go south. You talk about a guy with a line and then you take breaks and stuff. Real happy with what I got him to sign. And he couldn't understand me because of my accent. That's when I was starting to get the, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because I looked at him, I said, you have no idea how many comics I had to go through to find the stuff that I wanted you to sign because I've got so much of his stuff. He was like, what? He didn't understand me, so I, said it a little bit slower, and then he got it. And then as he was signing these books, I was like, you know what? I said, I've seen you do some sketches and artwork on Man-Thing. I would love to see you do a Man-Thing book. And all of a sudden, man, he was like right on top. One of the first things I did in some of my videos is I pointed out how Giant-Sized Man-Thing, the title of the book, cracks me up. The 70s was such an innocent time. Look at my Man-Thing, my Giant-Sized Man-Thing. Well, he had the same joke going on. He was like, he's always tried to get that Giant-Sized Man-Thing #1, and one of his buddies, I can't remember who it is in the comic biz, pointed out how dirty that sounds, and he was like, so all of a sudden we were talking Man-Thing, making jokes, and the people online were just looking like they could not believe this conversation they were hearing and stuff. It was awesome. So, I got Monkey Man and O'Brien, his 3-issue miniseries, from the 90s. Got him to sign those, He didn't really seem to think it was a big deal, And then, of course, I had to get him to do his sign to Godzilla, Signed it right under his nostril. And then the one that I was determined to have him sign, if I had to get one book signed, it was this. His Creatures from the Black Lagoon adaptation of the movie, which is just phenomenal, So Art Adams signed that. Got him to sign 2 copies of X-Men #10. Where the New Mutants become the X-Men for a little while, and it's got the X-Babies in it. 2 copies of that. And then, of course, my other annuals. And I've got other stuff I wish I got them to sign, I'm not going to get into that, so we can get through this. Bill Syncovich. I think that's how you say his name. I've already posted a picture of me and him on Twitter, and yes, I spelled his name wrong. The autocorrect on my phone was trying to spell something. I don't know what. Got him to sign a few things. And this dude, I tell you what, man, I really liked talking to him. I really felt like this guy looked at me, read me, did kind of like a cold reading on me. And I'm not saying like we connected, but me and this guy could definitely be friends. Just because of apparently of our interest and the way he kind of read me in such a short amount of time. It was really cool, I was really comfortable with him. And when I kind of told him, he had a little bit of a line and he was real nice, so I just want to get to the point. I want to give him my compliments. I told him that his artwork affected me like H.R. Geiger stuff, and he thought that was a big compliment. kind of like that. And then we started talking about a few things, and then all of a sudden he started asking me questions. That's why I don't remember everything we talked about. And he was like, do you play in bands? I was like, man, I used to play bass and stuff in bands and stuff like that. Do you do this? And I'm like, yeah. And all of a sudden, man, he was just really interested in me for a few minutes there, which was kind of cool, man. We were having a little back and forth here. It was really cool. And then I was like, you mind if I get a picture? He's like, absolutely. And he jumps right up, and he told somebody to take our picture and stuff like that. And I don't know, man. It was really cool. I mean, this went just a little bit beyond a little meet and greet. It seems like every year I'll meet somebody I hang out with, and but Bill Syncovich, man, I'm not sure what he was doing, man, but he read me like a book. He knew what I was interested in, and it was really cool. I was really flattered. But anyway, I got him to sign New Mutants number 25, first appearance of Legion. Again, it was really hard to whittle down because I took a ton of. You can see I took a ton of books. Lecter Assassin. What If Conan cover. I love this cover. And I got him to sign something else. This is what we talked about. This is one of the things I think kind of broke the ice. I don't know if you watch the Venture Brothers, but they are an Adult Swim cartoon. And I asked him, I was like, how did you end up doing the artwork for these DVD sets? And this was season 1. He said, man, they contacted me. And he goes, I love the show, so I did it. So he signed those. If you've never seen this, but he's done the interior art for the DVD sets. And then he looked at me and he was like, I did another season for him too. And I went, you mean this one? Like that. I whipped out, he signed that one. He did the exact cover for that one. And all of a sudden, man, that just broke the ice, man. And, we were talking Venture Brothers, and then he started asking questions about me, and he was like he knew and stuff. So that was very cool. Moving on here. Okay. Met Tony Harris, and lots of cool information there, man. Really, the first time I really had a real positive interaction with him where he sat down and he talked and stuff like that. But, he signed my Starman number 0. And we were talking, man, I was like, I cannot believe Starman started 20 years ago. And he was like, Ex Machina started 10 years ago. Then we were talking about a few things, and he signed the inside of my Liberty Files. Okay, these were two-issue miniseries in prestige format of a different kind of OSS take on Batman, Hourman, and Dr. Midnight. And we talked about Mr. Terrific, and we talked about what he did with the characters, what him and his partner, whoever wrote this stuff, what they did with Mr. Terrific, and I pointed out some things to let him know, and all that stuff. We really talked, man. It was really a really cool talk about comics for a while. And then he said that the Whistling Skull had come out, and he said they had something like 52 issues planned of that one, and DC only let him do 6. And he said that was actually a blessing in disguise because he's going to try to get he said they just didn't get behind it, didn't put it out there, it didn't have anything to do with their reboot, so DC kind of left him alone, and he's going to try to get the rights back so that they can take it elsewhere. He said that there's a framing sequence, that's all they have to do is take it out, and the Whistling Skull can be on its own. We got the books over here, all that stuff. So that was really cool to talk about that. That's what I mean. It was really getting into it. I'm not going to get into who she is, but Ramona Frandon. I got her to sign a Plastic Man book that I have. My Super Friends books were so tore up, I didn't want to take them down there. But Ramona Frandon is one of the first women that was ever in comics and as a penciler and stuff like that. She did every issue of the Super Friends comic book in the 70s. She did Metamorpho, I think, in the 60s and stuff. And you just need to look her up. She's been around a while. Met her, very nice lady. That was kind of cool to see one of the veterans, if you will. Okay. Mark Waid. Met Mark Waid here. Got quite a few things with him. Mark Waid was super cool. Apparently, this was the first time he did Heroes Con. And when I got up there was like a couple of us in line. I think he had to go do a forum or something like that. And he made sure everybody's stuff got signed before he left. And he was bounced around. He was all positive. He said, man, this is a great place, this great convention. I'm definitely coming back. And then he just stopped everything when I started telling him, yeah, this is a great place. They focus on the comics. The people that come here are great. I was like, man, I can't believe you've never been here before. And we ended up, talking a little bit too. His was more, nothing like, the Bill Syncovich and other talks I had, man. But I just told him it was so surreal to meet him after following his work and talked about him and Ringo for a little bit. Got him to sign my Flash 92, the first Impulse. His first Flash book, Impulse number 1. Got him to sign those. Got him to sign the Daredevil stuff, #1. And he signed well, it's a 4-issue miniseries, but I got a double of an issue, man. And he signed all the Kingdom Comes and stuff on the inside of these and stuff. So I got him to sign those. Very cool meeting Mark Waid. Apparently he's going to come back to Heroes Con. He really liked what he saw down there. Met Evan Dorkin, and he was really excited to see this. Evan Dorkin did Milk and Cheese. He's doing Beast of Burden. Can't think of what else he's done, but I whipped this out. This is the world's funniest one-shot graphic novel. This has art by Frank Miller, Alex Ross, all kinds of people, you know, different takes on them. And he was like, "Oh wow, man, I can't. It's real sad. This is out of print and stuff." And then he threw this out there, signed this for me too, about his Beast of Burden and Jill Thompson doing their books. But had a nice little talk with him. You know, really nice guy. Okay, and then there's Jeff Dario. Okay, if Bill Syncovich was the nicest guy to talk to today, well, you know, Jeff Dario, this was the coolest conversation because he was just talking away, and there's two people in front of me. They're just talking, and I'm sitting there wanting him to sign my hard boiled and stuff, and I'm trying to be patient and everything, and you know, which patience was really hard for me today a little bit until the day went on and stuff. And finally, you know, I'm sitting there, and this one guy's looking at his artwork, and they're just talking away, and this other lady's just sitting there patiently talking to somebody. I don't know if they were with Jeff or with the next table or whatever. And I'm sitting here like, is anything going on here, you know? And I look up, and he's looking at some artwork. And Jeff Dario had drawn a picture of Goldar from the Space Giants. And out of my mouth, before I know it, man, I'm like, oh, wow, that's Goldar. And he stopped everything. He just started ignoring everybody. And he went, "You are the first person ever at any convention to recognize that." And all of a sudden, me and him are sitting here explaining to the people that were standing there who Goldar and the Space Giants are. Going tit for tat, explaining Goldar, Silvar, Jim, everything about the show and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, it's like he just kind of focused on me for a minute, and he was just like, "What do you think of the Godzilla movie?" And I was the new when it came out, and I was being real serious, you know, giving an honest answer. I was like, I liked it, but I felt like it had a cameo of Godzilla. And he just looked at me like, you know, oh, finally somebody else. He's like, I could have gave a crap about that soldier story and all this stuff. We needed more monsters. So I told him to go see Pacific Rim and had to explain that to him. And then we talked about Godzilla movies and all this stuff for a little bit. And we got like a crowd of like about 6, 7, 8 people that started growing, just taking in what we were saying about Goldar and all this stuff. And somebody was like, "Well, does that have anything to do with Spectre Man back in the day?" And we were like, "It's the same era and stuff." We like jinxed each other when we said it and stuff like that. So he got there, and I'm sure he was doing this to everybody had a trade or something like that. So he drew a sketch of himself and signed my stuff. But just another one of those guys we could talk all day long about old Godzilla movies and stuff. Okay. I think I flew through that, and we're going on 22 minutes. So real quick, here's the haul. All these were like 2 for $1. But like I said, I got all my money back plus $1 back by selling some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, and some of these were in trade when I did that too. But I finally have a complete set of Swamp Thing. Here's number 26 and 28. That's all I needed to have a complete set of the Alan Moore run. I've been looking for these for years at a decent price. 50 cents for this Space Ghost Comico from 1980s by Steve Rude. This is my second copy. Could not believe I found that. Just grabbed the Legionnaires 1 million. I just want to get all the 1 million books. Found some Sandman. Got this one for 50 cents, number 13, The Doll's House. Could not believe I found that. I've really whittled down what I need to get. This may be a double, I'm not sure, but here's number 38. And then I got some earlier issues. I got these for $7, which is not Howlermouse prices, but like I said, I made my money back. I didn't pay. This isn't what I paid. I think I paid $7 for these next 3 issues. There's number 9, the parts of the Doll's House, number 10, and number 11. So I'm real close to having them. And I know you can't see that, but there was 2 copies of this, man. One had a brown tone to it, and one had a blue tone. So I kind of looks like I went with the blue tone. I'm not sure here, man, but yeah, there was 2 copies of this, and the covers had a different tone of color to them. Okay, got this as part of the trade for selling the Turtles books. Another copy of DC Comics Presents 85 by Alan Moore and Tom Vetch, I think. Batman meets Superman. And then I finally got it. Batman and Commandy. Yes, Batman in Commandy. Raven the Bold 157. I've never laid eyes on this, but I've always heard about it. And then for shits and giggles, I got these for 50 cents a piece, man. It's some Savage Dragon continuing the arc where he did an ode to Commandy in the Savage Dragon, and it actually has Madman in it, and another Mike Allard character. They popped up. Number 87, very Kirby-esque, and number 86. So that gives me a good chunk of those. I've got some more over here. I about fell down when I saw this. 2 issues of Plop in fantastic condition. I mean, I really can't believe they were just sitting in there. Issue 44, they still got gloss. I mean, they're still kind of dinged up and stuff like that, but they still have a glossy cover. They're complete, flat spine. Couldn't believe that. Number 13, great Bronze Age stuff. Sergio Aragonis, Basil interiors. Cain and Abel is your host. Just a bunch of gags and stuff, and Basil Wolverton came out, you know, and did the covers for him. 2 more issues of iZombie, man. I've got a killer run of iZombie going, man. I'm probably going to end up getting the rest of them. It's no problem. And I was really excited to find these, man. I'm getting a really good run of this. Clive Barker's Hellraiser. Who's in this one? Bill Mummy. Looks like Bill Mummy helped write one. Bill Mummy, I'm assuming of Lost in Space fame. Then I got this one. Yeah, nobody. I'd have to explain who they are. You know, another Hellraiser. Kevin O'Neill cover, I think, is who did that one. And yes, people, get ready. We're ending this with a bang and stuff like that. I got a Booster Gold number 1 just to round it off, because these books came to $6.50 and he didn't have change, or no, that's not what happened. I just decided that I was going to make it $7, so I got a Booster Gold number 1. That's right. That could be ripped up in a future video. Who knows? You know. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Later.